And we're back. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened, but it's all good. So you can see we've loaded the data. So we've loaded the nodes. So the next thing to do is we're going to load the relationships. So I'm going to go away. Again, I'm going to copy my query here. Oops, I need to remove the comments from there. That's all good though. Oh, what was I going to say as well? For those of you who are using browser, if you're wondering, hey, how has she managed to make the whole screen go white and bigger? If you click inside the space and press escape key, it will make it bigger and smaller. So it's quite handy if you want to sort of stretch out and have a look at a large bit of text. Okay, so let's have a look at what's going on here. So we've gone away and created our nodes. In fact, let's have a look here. So if I click here, you can see we've got countries, province, winery, and if I click on country, let's bring some of those up. You can see we've got some countries going on here. Great. So we've loaded some data for that. And what we need to do now is want to connect up the wineries, provinces, and country. So we're going to do that. Now, we have the interesting thing, because we still need to deal with those nulls. So we still need to know whether or not something didn't exist with the country. We still need to go away and deal with that. So we're still using this idea of this sort of case when. So same idea, load CSV, we're getting each row, and then same idea. So if this value here, so for country, row.country is null, then we're going to use we're going to basically use the value of no country, because bearing in mind we created the no country and now we're going to connect things together. And if it does exist, then we're going to use row.country. And then what we're doing is we're basically saying, using the with statement, we're saying, create an alias to that as country. And again, doing the same thing for province and same thing for winery. So that's going to allow us to find either if that country, province or winery exists, and if it doesn't, then we've got the appropriate default value associated with that. So we're going to be doing that for the data within our CSV, and then what we're doing then is we're then matching those three different nodes. So going away, matching those because we know they already exist, and then we're going to merge them together. So the reason why we're merging the relationship is there could well be a lot of repeating data. So for example, winery is undoubtedly creating more than one type of wine, and we don't want to have all of those relationships connecting the winery to province as an example there. So that's why we're doing the merge there. So you can see we're merging the winery to province, and we're going to be merging the province to country. So same idea, I'm going to run this, and I have a sneaking suspicion, well, we'll see what happens if this knocks out OBS again. So let's just make it smaller and let's run that query. And again, that should probably take maybe about 20-30 seconds. So let's let that do that. And whilst that is running, let's have a look at the questions. So I suggested some questions in the repo because I thought, why not? I still think we can answer some interesting things with those questions. So we can answer, I think what would be interesting about, which countries have the most wineries, and this is obviously based on the data set that we've got. Do we have wineries across different countries? I mean, maybe that happens. Maybe if you're a very large winery, maybe you are creating wine from different places. I don't know. That might be fun to have a look at. Which wineries are across multiple provinces? So there certainly will be wineries that I assume there will be wineries with different provinces. So we can have a look at that. So what we might do as well is we can have a play with Bloom too. And for those of you who've not come across Bloom, it's a visualization tool that uses near natural language. So I find it really, really helpful to be able to go away and just start exploring my data without necessarily worrying about what the cipher query is going to look like. So actually, let's do that. Let's have a quick peek in Bloom to begin with, and then we can go away and write those cipher queries. And again, if you've got any other questions you want me to answer of that data that sort of springs to mind, let me know, pop them in the chat, and we can do those together. So let's see. Okay, so let's get this up and going in Bloom. So for those of you, Bloom is now free. You can use Bloom free in Neo4j desktop, so you can use it on your local databases. Do go and have a play. It is really, really cool, and it's great for this kind of thing where you just want to have a quick peek at your data without necessarily worrying about writing any queries. So to launch Bloom, you press the little arrow there next to open, and you see an option there called Bloom. So I'm going to click on that, and what's going to happen is it's going to ask me to create a perspective. Okay. Right, so don't have a perspective on this, so let's create a perspective. I'm going to click on create perspective. I'm going to click on generate perspective, and what's going to happen there is it goes away, it does some stats on the database, and it tries to figure out, well, okay, so these are going to be sensible labels to use, these are probably the properties that you want to be looking at, and so forth. So it goes away and does that work, and then it's going to suggest a perspective for us. So it's going to be this one. This is what I want to use, and I'm going to perhaps rename this. I'm going to call it my wine perspective. Okay, I'm going to save that, and let's use this perspective. So one of the questions that we asked was, are any of the wineries across different countries? And what we're going to do is, so if we remember, so you had winery, province, country. So what might work, we'll see how it goes, is we're going to have to use a pattern, because we have to go via province to find out wine, so we may end up writing this as a cipher query anyway, but it's all good. We like to experiment. So what we need to do is we need to do this thing called a palindrome pattern. So let me bring up arrows, and you can see what do I mean. But actually, let me bring up Paint, tool of champions. So let me just make this fit this in onto the screen. Okay. So something to sort of bear in mind is, if we think about, so we know we've got wine. Oh dear, what's going on here? Okay, so we know we've got wine, we know we've got province, and we know we've got country. And what we know at the moment is, for us to find out whether wine is in a winery is in more than one. Oh, that should be winery, shouldn't it? So for us to know whether a winery is operating in more than one country, we have to go via province, because if you remember, we've got some arrows as well. Excellent. So as if you may recall, for us to go through to find out whether a winery belongs to more than one country, we have to go via province. So that's our link. So we have to go across province to find that. Now we still have to do that in Bloom, so we'll do the same equivalent cipher query as well. Don't worry about that. But what we need to do is we're going to treat winery as a pivot point, and we need to repeat country more than once as a way of trying to bring back that cardinality. So what that means is we're going to do something like country, province, winery, province, country in Bloom, and then what that will do is it will bring back if there's more than one country. Something to bear in mind is, because it only goes down the path once, if we've got a province, well, we shouldn't have a province associated with one country, because we might, this should be fun actually, we'll look at this. So we may have a province going to more than one country, but we can only cross a path once. So if there happens to be a situation where there's a winery that's in a province that's got the same name, but that province is in two different countries, we're not going to get that data back. The other thing to bear in mind as well is that winery may be associated with more than one province that goes back to the same country. So we may get this sort of circular thing. So that's just trying to explain what's going on. Let's have a look what actually happens. So let's do that. We said we're going to use country as a pivot point. So let's do country, province, winery. And what's happening in the background is Bloom's basically going off to see if that pattern exists. So you can see it exists. Let's go winery. Let's go back to province. So just curious if it starts suggesting things. Oh, yep. So we have a winery in more than one province. That's exciting. And let's do country. And let's wait. We're going to wait for the pattern to show up. So it's basically in the background. It's trying to figure out whether that exists. Oh, excellent. So let's grab that. Let's just hide this out of the way. Oh my goodness. That's a lot of data coming back. So something to bear in mind with Bloom is it will cap, and you can change the cap, but it will limit the number of nodes that actually are returned when you write a query. So there could well be more than one, but let's zoom in and see what's happening. So let's quickly remind ourselves what colours were. So countries orange, provinces purple. So let's zoom in and have a look what's going. My goodness, there is a lot of stuff going on here. So we've got Romania. I think I know what might be going on. Oh no, that's okay. So there will be a winery. Let's see if we can pick one of these apart. Okay, so what winery is this? We've got Stonecraft. So let's pick out. Let's make this a bit easier. So let's say, and what we can do, because we're going to look at Stonecraft, is I'm going to replace winery with Stonecraft. Or Stonecraft even. My apologies. I can't spell it. There we go. So I'm just going to quickly clear the scene. And let's have a look. Now that's interesting. So Stonecraft are in more than one country. So that's cool. Okay, so we've answered that question. We do have vineyards who operate across different countries. So what we're going to do is we're going to go off and write a cipher query. And what we can, and the nice thing about going away and writing the cipher query is we can be a bit more specific with investigation. So maybe there are some wineries that are working across more than two countries. Maybe there's many countries. So let's go have a look at that. That should be very interesting. Obviously, the thing we've got to bear in mind here is we're making the assumption that Stonecraft is a unique winery name. It could well be that there's more than one winery called Stonecraft, and there's one in New Zealand and there's one in the US. So that's something for us to pick up and have a look later. But for now, let's just explore this, and maybe we need to correct this later. But that's okay, so that's cool. So we looked at the query. So what was the other question we had? Another question we had was wineries across multiple provinces. So again, we can do a similar idea. Let's clear the scene. We're probably going to have loads of these coming back, but that's okay. And again, same idea, because we know that winery is directly connected to province, so we're going to use winery as our little pivot point, and the province is kind of, you know, and by doing sort of winery, province, winery, province, that gives us like that cardinality type query. So let's do that. So province, winery, province, and there will be many of these, I suspect. There will be. If we had loads for country, we're going to have loads for this. So let's just have a look, and we're going to zoom in, and then we're going to go off and write a cipher query for this. I think we're going to have some great fun later if we start analysing the relationships with the graph algorithm stuff. So let's pick one at random. Let's zoom in a bit more. The forager. Okay, I like the sound of that. I like the sound of the forager. So let's have a quick peek at the forager. clear the scene. E. Okay, so they're in, so the forage is in 2 different provinces, but obviously they're both going to connect to the United States. But okay, so we're starting to get an idea. So you're getting a rough idea of what you can do with Bloom. It's a really great way to just have a quick peek at your data. So just to give you as an example with this, maybe I couldn't be bothered to write the cipher query, or it's not so much not being bothered, but let's say I was looking for something. Oh, I think I'm buffering. Okay, sorry about that. So let's say, for example, I wanted to ask a question, but that might have been a bit of a convoluted query as an example. This is a great way of just figuring out, does that data exist? Does that pattern exist? And we figured out that that pattern exists. So great, we can go away and write our queries knowing that, that stuff exists. So that's cool. And I think we asked a question about most wineries. So okay, that's enough playing around with Bloom. Let's go and let's go off and write some cipher queries. I'm just going to close Bloom. I don't need this anymore. Let's bring up browser. Right, okay, so let's have a look at this. So one of the questions we're going to ask is, which countries have the most wineries? Let's do that. Oh, can I spell? Yeah, I can. Oh, excellent. Right, so let's do that. So let's have a look. And again, if you've got any, anything else you want to ask of this data, let me know and we will have a look at it. Right, okay, so let's have a look. Which countries have the most wineries? So we're going to do something, so we're going to bear in mind, we've got that pattern. So again, we know that a winery is connected to a province, which is connected to a country. So we're going to be interested in that path. So we're probably going to do something like this. So match P equals, and we're going to do W winery. Oh no, well, countries, didn't we? We wanted countries. That's fine, we can do it like this. It's all good. So winery from province, province country, C country, and then what we're going to do, oopsie daisy, and what we're going to do here is we want to return c.name, and we want to return count P. So we're going to count the path, because effectively what we're which country has the most wineries? Yeah, that's right. So what we're saying is we want to count the number of paths that are going from winery to country. Now, something to bear in mind is that there are going to be multiple paths between winery and country potentially, because a winery may be in many provinces that belong to one country, and each of those are valid paths. So we're going to need to deal with that. So let's have a quick peek what happens. I think putting in, let's have a look. So that's what's going to happen. So we're probably going to see a crazy number, and let's have a think about how we're going to solve that in a second. So let's start with this. I'm going to give these some sensible names. Just got this country, yeah. And as total, order by total descending. So we're probably going to get a crazy number, don't panic, it's because we talked about there being multiple paths. So we'll have a think about how we're going to deal with that in a second. So let's have a look what comes back. Oops. Oh yes, I can't do that, so let's call it path. Oh, excellent. And let's see. So we're going to see some crazy numbers, because we wouldn't expect which country the most wineries. Oh no, that's correct. Sorry, my bad. No, it was correct. Oh yeah, no counting of that. So we need to get rid of the duplicate wineries wines to province. So let's have a think about how we're going to do that, because I think what you'll find is the total number of wineries is going to be less than if we added up all of this. So let's check our understanding on that. So if I did return, let's just gonna comment this out. So if we did return count paths, that's going to count all of the paths. That's going to give us 19,055, and let's do it this way. If we do match winery return count W, we've got a total of 16,000 wineries, or 16,000.7 wineries. So you can see what's happening there is we've got some wineries that are that effectively have more than one province, but that province is associated to the same country, which is why we're getting those additional paths. So let's have a look at getting rid of those. The really interesting thing here, though, that I find is that there's only, I mean, that's what 2,300 wineries that have got more than one province, which is interesting. That's a lot lower than I thought it might be. So that's interesting. But back to the other task. Let's try and do something about those multiple provinces. So let's have a think how we're going to do this. I don't think. Let's get rid of this path for a second because we don't want that. So we'll answer a couple of these and then we're going to go off and include some more data. But I think you get the idea that just because, you know, we've got a small amount of data, but already we're starting to get some very interesting insights as to what's going on. So never underestimate the power of just getting a small amount of data in there so you can explore it. Okay, right. Let's have a look how we're going to tackle this. Okay, so what we can do is a little bit cheaty, but if we do count province, so we do this, no, to count winery, and we're going to do distinct winery. That will, let's just check, has that done what we thought it was going to do? So 5375. Oh yes, there we go. There we go. So that's done that. So there we go. So that's our query. And I think if I get rid of this, this should probably still work because we shouldn't be having repeats of winery. So let's have a quick peek. Oh no, it's not. Okay, so we need a distinct. So there we go. So that's how we can answer that question there. So that's our query. So we're using province because we need to be able to walk across, traverse across that relationship to get that. And then we're just getting the country name and we're looking for a distinct count of the wineries. So there we go. So you can see that the US has, certainly for this data set, has got a huge number of wineries. And then so we've got France, you know, not a big surprise there, Italy, not a big surprise there. So that's really fascinating. So obviously this is going to be skewed against what wines have been reviewed in this magazine where the data's come from. But that's still very interesting. You see certainly like the New World wines are quite small. And it's quite cool that, for example, Greece here has like got 99 wines and Israel as well. So that's very, very cool. And we've got, 27 of our wineries are not associated with any country. That's all cool. Oh, Bulgaria. But they do some very nice wine in Bulgaria. Okay, so I'm going to grab a copy of that. We're going to pop that in the repo later. And do we want to have a quick peek at, let's have a quick peek at wineries with multiple provinces, because I think that's a little bit fun, given that when we had a look it was only something like 2,300 had more than one province. So let's have a quick peek at that because I am very curious. And then we're going to go away and we're going to put some more data in. Right, okay, so let's have a look. So what we did is match paths. We're going to still keep this path and we can swipe this query and reuse it. And we want to return the province. actually no, winery even, so we want to get the winery name. And we want to count, so this time we don't need to do a distinct because it should be distinct. So we're going to count that as the total number of provinces, and we're going to order that. So we're going to have a look at which ones have got the most of those. So let's have a quick peek. Oh, okay, so got some interesting ones. So what I'm quite curious about now is to have a look, what are those provinces? So let's do a quick change the query. So I'm just going to grab a copy of this so we can pop that into the repository later. And what I want to do is I want to list out the names. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect those names, p.name as provinces. And how are we going to do this? Okay, so it's not going to order them for us, so we need to, if I do, let's do it like this. We don't need the path anymore either, get rid of that. With provinces. Total, order by total, all must be consistent. Because it's got to retrieve the to retrieve all the properties. That might be quite an expensive query. Oh no, I did not want to do that. Winery.name, collect p.names. That's what I wanted to do. Don't want to return the oh, okay. That property doesn't exist. There we go. Third time's the charm. There we go, brilliant. So there we go, we can have a look at all of the different provinces that are associated with each of those wineries. And that's quite amazing that you've got some of these, like 19 provinces, that's huge. So I guess a fun thing, actually that might be something for us to have a look at in the future. So Estelle, one of our community members, put together this graph app where you've got effectively maps. So maybe a fun thing for us to do in the near future will be to go away, try and get some of the long information for these vineyards or these provinces, and then pin them up a map and have a look how they look like. So that might be a bit of fun. So we shall save that for the future. But there you go. You can have a look at these, and you've got you get sort of an idea of some of these wine companies. So I guess Global Wine makes sense. Global Wine, they're going to have a lot of provinces, but you get the idea there. So that's quite interesting. Again, bearing in mind that when we looked at that at the data set, only 2,300 had more than one province, so that is very interesting. So let's grab a copy of that and let's go away and put more data in. Okay, so that was fun. Let's bring up the arrows tool. So for those of you who are interested, what I've done, again, if you go into the repository, I will keep a copy of the various arrows models that we put together if that's of interest to you. So if you go into the docs folder here, you'll notice I've got one model called markup. Ignore the extension, just copy the text in there. So you see you've got this. If you copy all of that text, and then what you'll be able to do within arrows, if you go to export markup, you can sort of select everything, clear it, and then replace it with that. And then if you hit save, it will bring up that model. So if you wanted to go and play with that model or modify it in arrows, you can. So that's how you can do that. Okay, so right, well, let's have a look what we're going to add in. So as you recall, what we've done is we've got we've got country, we've got province, and we've got winery. So for those of you who were joining in previously, we had this really interesting thing to try and figure out what we were going to do with region, because we've got effectively a region and a more granular region. So obviously region 1 is like the overarching region, and then region 2 is the more granular region. And the reason we kind of left that is because lots of the wines don't have any regions, they stick to just province. Whereas if you look at, for example, California, they've got like Napa Valley, and that's like a huge space. Obviously, you got province of California, massive, place, and then they're going to have like Napa Valley, which again is huge, and then you're going to be splitting that off as well. So as you sort of think about what we were going to do, there was again sort of we had that conversation around what's the right way of putting this in, how would we link them, bearing in mind that you don't always have that data. So we kind of left that for now, and I'm kind of tempted to leave that for now as well, just because there's going to be a whole host of fun with that. But what I do suggest we do is, we've got winery, so what probably makes sense now is we're going to add wine. So we've got that information in our data set, and what we want to do as well is we can add the taster's name to that wine, and we can add the variety. So for some of the options there, we do have the grape variety. So again, these do have, obviously wine won't have a null value, but for taster and for variety, it's quite possible that we have null values. And bearing in mind as well, the taster also has, may have a Twitter handle, so maybe we want to capture that. And for those of you who joined in, so just as a quick reminder, the really interesting thing about the wine data was that the wine, in fact, let's have a quick look again. I think, let me bring up that data, so bear with me one moment. So the interesting thing with the wine, sort of like the wine title, was that it had a lot of information in there. So it wasn't just a case of, say, it's some Shiraz and we've got a separate year for what it was. It's like the whole thing is in the title. So if I go to we had a couple of things. We had the designation, so we need to decide what we're going to do with designation. So we'll have a quick peek at that. But if we have a look at the wine title, so what you'll spot in here, and this is where it becomes quite interesting, is we've got a year in there, and that is interesting because maybe we want to have a look. So there's going to be certain wines where they come out every year, and they're going to have a different year, but based on the conditions are in that year, you're going to have perhaps different tastes, different flavours. Maybe one year was better than this other, and so forth. But that doesn't exist in separate columns. So at some point, maybe next week, we want to start thinking about how we're going to pull that year out as an example. We've got other fun things going on as well. You've got other information put in there. We've got some character issues going on. It's all good. It's all fine. But sort of the point here being that we've got a lot of sort of excess information going in here. Maybe there's going to be a situation where we've got the grape variety in the title, but we don't have it in the variety column, so we need to add that. That's all fine. We can look at that in the future about how we're going to pull that data out. So inevitably, we're probably going to be getting rid of some data and loading new data in. That's fine. That's part of this exploration. But I think now let's have a look at adding in. Oh, I thought I fixed these. That's fine. Let's quickly fix these. So you notice there's this equal sign. So that's okay. We're going to just replace that equals with. There we go. So we've got some. So we've got the thing around that. So we're probably going to need to think about how we're going to extract that, and then that was one of the things that we were thinking about. So if we go back to here, we're thinking about what we're going to do about year. So are we going to connect? Do we have like the wine title in its purest form here, and then we extend out a year in the wine title so that we can sort of collect the families. Do we actually want to split it out at this point? And then from wine, it then goes off to a year, and then we attach the review to a year. So there's a couple of things about, you know, what we want to do around that. That's fine. But first we'll need to pull that year out. So let's leave that for next week, and we're going to have a look at some sort of string extraction approaches. We'll have a look at what we can do in Cypher. We'll have a look at maybe we do that outside, and then we can balance what's the best way of doing that. But for now, let's get in the wine, and we'll get in the taster, and we'll get in the variety, because then what we can do is, although we need to figure out how we're going to sort out the wines, we can split out the various years that that title has been in. We can at least now do some fun stuff about having a look at what wines a reviewer's done. Are they reviewing a specific variety of grape and so forth? So we can still do that fun stuff and ask those questions. So let's quickly revise this model. So what we're going to do now, we're going to say, well, I'm going to get rid of this. So I'm going to drop that. I'm going to get rid of that. So our data model's now going to, let's just make this stretched out a little bit better. Okay. So now we've got a data model is going to have this. So we've got these bits that we've already got in. And what we want to do now is we're going to add in the wine. So we're going to add the title of the wine. We've got the description. So that's the review that the wine had. We'll leave the description for now, I think. Let's keep that off. So we'll have the wine, we'll have the price, we'll have the title. I'm probably not going to bother with the. Do I want to put? No, let's put the row in. Let's put the row in, because it means we'll probably be able to load the data a bit quicker in the future. Oh, buffering. I shall give it a couple of moments. Okay, I think we're back. Oh, we're back. Excellent. So let's. So we're going to do that. So we'll add the wine. So we won't put the description in just yet. We probably want to leave that for now, because maybe we want to do something with it. But let's put in the wine title. We'll put in the price. We'll put in the row, just because maybe it'll be a bit quicker for us to. So if we put an index on the row number, then if we do re-imports in the future, then it'll be a lot quicker for us to go off and bring it in via that. So that seems a sensible thing to do. We'll bring in a variety name. So we're going to go off. So that's going to. So here we're assuming that the wines are unique, and there will be if we're keeping the year in there. Variety, obviously, that's not going to be unique, so we're probably going to use a merge on that to pull those in. And we've got the taster name. Again, there's going to be many tasters. Sorry, the same taster tasting many wines. So we'll bring that in. So this is what's going to be our extended data model. So let's think about what we're going to do with regards to the indexes. So I'm just going to minimize this so we can. Oh, actually, that's not going to work too well. That's okay. Let me just pop these into browser. So we know we're going to create an index on wine, on variety, and on taster. So let's do that now. So right, so we're going to create index on wine, and we're going to do ID, and that's just the ID that's in the CSV. And what you will perhaps notice, they're all a bit jumbled. That's because I was removing the duplicates from data earlier, and I was sorting by properties and things to go through that. So they're a bit jumbled. Don't worry about that. In fact, let's go on and let's sort these back into order. You'll notice there's some gaps, and that's just because I removed some of the data. So let's just quickly sort these. So I'm going to sort by ID, smallest to largest. Excellent. Let's save that. Okay. I've just realised that I changed the. Right. So one thing I've just spotted is I'll have changed the thing. So don't worry about this. I'm just going to quickly change what I imported. So to get to the folders where you import data, if you click on the 3 dots in the database and manage, and then you'll have an option to open folder, and I want to do the import folder. So I'm just going to quickly, I was using the GitHub repo. No, that's fine, that's fine. So that's why it was taking a bit longer to download. So yeah, so don't worry if you copy the what I've put in the code, you'll notice I'm pulling it from the GitHub repo. So that's fine. So we're just going to update it and get it from v3 rather than v2. So that is all good. So sorry about that small spot of confusion. Okay, so let's create some indexes. So we're going to create one on the on wine. We had a taster, and I'm going to assume that all the tasters are unique, and we haven't got tasters with the same name, which is, for now, that's fine. Let's do that. That's not the end of the world. And we want to create an index on the variety, wasn't it? Variety's got a name. Let's have a look at arrows, variety, taster's name, and outline. Okay, brilliant. So those are our indexes. Let's just grab a copy of those. And let's create those. Alright, let's get rid of some of these. There we go. So the indexes are in place. And now we are going to have a think about building out our import queries. So I'm going to go back. I'm all about reusing if I've got something working. So let's go back and swipe the code. So same idea, we're going to be creating some nodes. So I'm just going to change the address to this to v3. And let's pop this in. Okay, it's a bit bigger so you can see what's going on. So I'm just going to change this to v3 because we want the new one. I'm not too worried about countries and things, that should all be fine. So same idea as well. So we've got, just quickly check the names of our rows. So we know we've got designation as well. Let's leave designation for now. I'm not too sure what we're going to do with designation. Oh, nouveau. Oh yeah, no, let's bring those in. Let's bring the designations in as well. So let's quickly update our model. So a wine has a designation, and then again we can change this if this isn't quite right. Let's get a designation name. I'm not being very inventive with the names. That's fine, this is all good. We can do this. So it's designation name and has designation. Designation. Okay. Right, okay, so let's add the index of designation as well before we forget. I will designation name. So let's create that. Add that in. Excellent. Okay, right, let's get some data in. So we're going to use a similar approach. So we're going to assume, apart from the wine where there should be a title for that, we're going to assume for everything else that it probably doesn't have the thing. So let's just quickly check our row name. So we had one row which was description. We're leaving description for now. We've got designation, so we know that designation's a name. Sorry about that if I dropped off there. So I was just checking through the row headers. So we're going to keep the same pattern, and we can decide if we want to get rid of these. So let's say no designation. Now what else have we had? We had we had a taster name. So it's taster underscore name. So I'm just going to grab a copy of that. I'm going to leave the Twitter handle for now because we're going to end up with many for each case when and it gets a bit messy. But what I'll do is I'll upload the script bringing in the Twitter handle onto the repository. So keep an eye on that and you'll have that there. Okay, so we've got designation, we've got taster name. Let's put no taster. Oh, let's make sure we designation. It should be taster. We had a wine, so that's going to be wine. Was it just title? Oh, it was just called title, wasn't it? Oh, and variety. We mustn't forget variety. So, oh no, we know that title's going to have it. So let's leave this one for now. Let's go for variety. I think we said it was variety, wasn't it? Variety. No variety else. And then we're going to add the wine. We called these all named. Wine ID. Oh no, we did this on ID, didn't we? So wine ID is going to be row.id, and then we're going to do title is row.title. Okay, let's just double check. I'm going to give these more sensible things so I don't get confused. Not that we need these, but you know, it's nice. Okay, so what we're going to do is this first one, we're going to do our fun stuff to check if the designation is null and act accordingly, check if the taster is null and deal with accordingly. Same for variety. And then we're just creating the wine because the wine must exist with an ID and the name, otherwise this data set's fairly pointless otherwise. Okay, so let's say, hopefully, it should all run without problem. Famous last words. Aha. Okay, let's just have a quick look at what is going on. Why does it not like that? So a quick peek. Let's go up to source. What's going on? Okay, I will okay, right. I'm not sure what's going on there, but that's all fine. I will go away and fix that. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to copy this into my import folder. I mean, we could run it from we could run the previous one. That's fine because we're not using the Twitter handles. It's just got some duplicate fields, and I would quite like to avoid those. So I'm just going to quickly import that file into here, and I'm just going to do it from that. So don't worry, the queries that I upload, they'll be corrected and working to run off the GitHub repo. But for now, just so we get some data in there and explore, I'm just going to do it from local and going to get rid of this, and I'm going to do file // right. Let's run this. Okay. Well, that's loading some data. We're then going to go away, and we're going to add the relationships afterwards. So similar idea. I'm going to go off and reuse what we've done previously. We're going to hook in those relationships, and away we go. Just going to, oh, there we go. That's all in. Fantastic. Right, okay, again, I'm all about reusing stuff, so I'm just going to quickly grab a copy of this query, and I shall update it accordingly on the repository. But for now, let's grab that other one, because then I don't have to reinvent the wheel with regards to dealing with null values and so forth. Okay. Let's make it a bit bigger so we can see what's going on. So I'm just going to use this for now, and then I will get that working so you can use it from GitHub if you copy paste the thing. So rows that we're interested. So we are interested in designation. No designation, otherwise end as designation. And we've got row taster name. And we had one for variety. And add variety. I'm going to be so good at spelling variety at the end of this. Okay, and we now want to match our wine. Oh, yeah, so we can do that. We're going to do that from the I because we know what that is. So we want to also let's do some a new line, and we want to we want to keep row.id. Is that the right way of doing this? Yes, row.id. That should be okay. As ID. If it's not, we'll throw up an error and then we go and fix it. So it's all good. So let's have a look. Okay, so we want to match. We want to match D designation. That's going to be name designation. I did call it name. I called everything name. That stops me from getting confused. So D designation, T taster, name taster. I'm going to do V variety, name variety, and we've got one more, which is we want to get our wine. Oopsie daisy, don't do that. W wine, and it's going to be ID : ID, because that's what we named our property from earlier. And now we are going to do a bunch of connecting. So I'm just going to just quickly remind myself of what this looks like. So what we're saying is wine, you've got a relationship from wine to winery, and that's going to be a create relationship because we don't need to do a merge on that. So let's do that. So let's what way around we want to do this. Hang on, let's have a quick look. Oh, these are all going to be, these are all creates. Okay, that's nice and fast. Because bearing in mind, so you know how we made that assumption that each wine was unique in the list? So we're not going to be merging in relationships, they're all going to be creates. Because you think about it, wine is the centre of the universe. So all of these relationships are going to be creates. That's excellent, that's nice and fast. Right, okay, let's go do that then. So we'll get rid of all of these because we know what's happening. So we're going to do create wine. Oops. Oh, we said from winery, wasn't it? From winery. Ah, okay, you know what I've forgotten to do? I've forgotten to get the winery because we need to connect that up as well. So, okay, that's fine, that's not a problem. We're going to just copy and paste one of these. Let's grab that. Easy to sort out. So, row the winery. There you go, nice, and that was nice and easy one to sort out. Just make sure we did call it winery, didn't we? Yes, winery. Perfect. Okay, that's fine. So from winery, we said, didn't we? It was, yep, from winery. Winery. Oh, I just got to match it here. Win, because we're winning. And name is winery. Okay, there we go. Sorted. And we're going to say win. And we're going to create. So we've connected the wine to the winery. Let's now connect winery to variety. So has variety V. I'm trying to remember if I can do these in commas. It's no problem if not. If it, it'll give us a helpful error and then we can correct it. So it's all good. So wine has a taste. Oh, what did we say? Oh, rates wine. Ah, okay, we added. I'm going to leave the score for now. We'll add the score later. That's fine. So it has designation and taster rates wine. Okay, let's do that. So taster rates wine. And we also said the wine has designation. And that was a D for designation. Okay, right, so let's quick check. So we're saying wine is from a winery, wine has a variety, taster rates a wine, and a wine has designation. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's run this. And I'll just... Well, okay, it's not complained, so we're doing well. And then we'll have a quick look at the schema afterwards as well to see what's going on. I'm just going to quickly grab a copy of this whilst it is running, and if I need to do any tweaks to that, I will, and I shall update accordingly. Aha, there we go, it's all in. So let's quickly have a look at the schema. And this is just basically just showing us what have we got loaded in, what's connected to what and so forth. So let's have a quick peek what's going on there. Excellent, right, let's see what's going on here. So we have got, so we've added to our data, we have got country, province and winery from before, and we've now got wine, and wine's connected to winery. Wine is being rated by a taster. Wine has a variety, and it has designation. Okay, cool. So, bear with me one moment. Right. Brilliant. Okay, so we've got some data in as we discussed. So we've refactored our data model so we can add a bit more information in there. We've brought in some more data. Let's have a quick peek where we're at now. Lots of nodes. Ooh, lovely. Lots and lots of data. Okay, so we've got that in. So I'm right. I mean, let's ask some questions of this, and then I think we can call it a day. So if you've got any ideas of what you want to run as a query, chuck them in the chat. I'm going to have a quick look at this myself and have a think about what we might ask. I mean, I think certainly. Oh, what's a popular variety? Maybe that might be interesting. Bearing in mind that this data is probably going to be a bit dirty, just because I don't know how strict people have been about sticking with the variety names. In fact, let's have a quick peek at that. So let's do that. We'll see what's in there. So let's do match the variety, turn v.name as name, order by name. Let's have a quick look what's just going on in there. So we can probably have a quick peek if we've got any sort of funny spellings. Oh, it's not too bad. I guess the interesting thing here, like Alicante and Alicante Bouchette, you know, would we treat those as the same? So that's going to be a fun one for us to have a look in the future. So another one will be Aragonés and Aragonés. You know, I suspect these are probably the same variety, so we probably want to have a think about how we might group those. I've actually done some stuff on stuff in the past about trying to join things with similar names. So I got a Siritico, a Sirikiko. So we've got some interesting data cleaning that we can do here. So that's fine. We can do that. That's not a problem. The APOC libraries have got a load of really useful functions that we can use, where they can do things like looking at sound, you know, words that sound similar. We can do things like Levenstein distance or the other sort of fuzzy text matching approaches. So there's a bunch of stuff we can do. So we can try and join some of these grape varieties, to, sort of the varieties we've got here together, if we think they're the same. So just having a quick look here, we can see we've got some of this going on. So yeah, this is all good stuff. So okay, so we've had a quick look at the look at that. So the interesting thing as well, you've got like sort of Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon. Like, you know, do we want to split these out? Do we want to say that this is some kind of a family? The interesting thing as well will be, do some of these have hyphens like Cabernet Merlot and then maybe Cabernet hyphen Merlot? So there's some interesting stuff we can look into that. So again, Cabernet Shiraz, Cabernet Syrah. So that's the sort of Syrah Shiraz, same grape. So there's a lot of interesting things we can do there. So that's definitely something we can explore in one of our sessions, where we look at some of the approaches we can do to clean the data that we've already got in the database, and for example, do some kind of deduping entity resolution there. So great, that's great stuff. So that was interesting about variety going on in there. What else did we say was interesting? Oh, let's have a look at taster. Let's see who's our most prolific taster. I think that's something we can definitely do now before we call it a day. So let's have a look. So most, I feel like I want to call it the tipsiest taster. They've been tasting lots of wine. So let's say most prolific, prolific taster. I can't think of a better way of putting this. Let's do that. So let's have a look at what's going on there. So we're going to do. Let's do match T taster rates wine. Oh, we could have probably done without this because it's only one relationship, but that's all good. We can be complete. Wine, and then what we can do is we can return t.name. Actually, we're gonna I know we can do it like return t.name as taster. Let's return count W as total order by total sending. So who is our most prolific tasters of the wine? Interesting. Okay, so I think we may have had a problem with how we've imported the data. So maybe we should have tested this, because you can see this because we've only had one taster come back, and that's probably every single wine that we've got in the database. That's fine. Let's go away and fix that. So let me have a quick look. What have I done? So have I put the hang on, taster underscore name. What did I put in when we loaded in taster? So what we can do, let's quickly just going to quickly grab this, and what we can do is let's turn row limits 5. Let's bring back some data. Let's I forgot to add my auto. Let's go. I don't need that anyway. We're just having a look at what's going on. So let's just quickly do return taster name. Okay, so what went wrong? We're going to get rid of taster for now, because obviously there's something not quite right going on with taster. Because if I do, let's do match T taster return count T. Oh, okay. It's becoming more and more curious, isn't it? Right, so we do have tasters in there. So we've loaded the data okay. It's just that something strange has happened with what's happened. So let's double click on Mike. Is Mike connected to some wines? No. Okay, so something has, I suspect what's happened is something has gone wrong when... Oh, I've spotted what I've done here. So I'm just going to quickly show you a clip. So what's happened, and this is the bit of the import. So when we were creating the nodes for taster, that was fine. That's all gone in. But this was the bit when I was trying to link together taster with wine, and you can see what I've done here. I've accidentally added an extra row. So understandably, that condition's always been wrong, so it's always been defaulting to no taster. So that's okay, we're going to fix that, that's not a problem. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to drop the relationship between, basically no taster and the wine, and then we're going to just re-import the data. So that's fine. So let's first drop that relationship, and we're going to do that by doing match wine, and that was reviewed by rates wine. So R rates wine, taster, oh no, taster, and then we're going to do delete R, delete R, and then that's just basically going to get rid of all the relationships between those two nodes. So let's do that, and then we're going to just import it, and that's fine. We're just going to, I'm just going to take that previous query and we're going to just correct it, and all will be good with the world once again. So let me just quickly grab that. Okay, so let's just expand this. So I don't need designation. Let's create this before I accidentally run it again. So this we don't need. Taster we want, and we're going to want the wine. So let's do get rid of this, and we want row ID as ID, so that's going to give us our wine ID, and we want to match the taster, so we don't need this, and we want the wine. Let's get rid of that bit, and let's get rid of that bit, comma for there, and then what we want to do is taster rates wine. Let's do that. Okay, right. And let's run that. And then hopefully we'll be able to go away and answer our question. There we go. Okay. So let's go back to our original question. What you can do as well, I'm just going to get rid of some of these frames. If you've already written your query and you just want to run it again, what you can do is, you see this little picture of like a loop, that will refresh your query. So we know this query that I wrote is basically going away and finding who's rated how many wines. So I'm just going to refresh that, and you just run the same query again. Oh, okay, that's exciting. Oh, the plot thickens. What have I done this time? Oh, you know what I've done? I corrected one line but not the other line. That's okay. We can fix that. So if you want to cycle through historical queries that you've run, just press the Control key. So I'm going to go back to my delete statement. I'm going to get rid of those relationships. And then I'm going to go back to my import query, and I'm going to correct that this time. I'm going to check that I've corrected all of it. There we go. So you see I missed this one here. So it's all good. These things happen. It's fine. Right. Okay. So let's get that in. But it's a nice quick query, so that's not a problem at all. Okay, we are done. Right, so third time's the charm. This should now be correct and working. There we go. Excellent. So it's interesting that we've got a huge number of no tasters going on, which is quite fun. So that's something we're going to investigate and see why have we got a large number. Although bearing in mind we had something like 120,000 wines. So that's what, about 20% don't have a taster associated with them. Okay, that's cool. Interesting. So maybe a really fun thing we can look at as well is, can we make recommendations about who the tasters should be for a wine that doesn't have a taster? So maybe tasters taste certain wines or wines from certain regions. So maybe a nice fun thing we can do is build like a taster recommendation engine. So we can go away and say, hey, you know, because you always review, like say, new old wines, these are the ones you should be looking at next. So there we go. This is fun. We can, this is interesting things we can do with the data. So apart from Mr. No Taster, we've now got the other tasters of the wine, and as you can see, we've got the groups there. So we've got sort of Roger, Michael, Karen, Paul, and so forth. And let's, just for a bit of fun, how about we extend this slightly and let's change, rather than just having the total of wines I've reviewed, maybe we will do the variety of wines. I'm hoping this isn't going to be a crazy number of varieties coming up, but let's change this query ever so slightly and let's bring back the varieties of wine that that these tasters have been testing. I'm going to exclude no taster because that might be a bit crazy, so I'm going to just do is just let's so remember a wine wine has a variety, doesn't it? Okay, so let's do that. Has variety, the variety, and I don't want no taster. So let's do this. I'm just going to split this query out a little bit. So let's do match T taster where T dot name where not. How do I do this? Let's do name is, I think it's that one, isn't it? No, taster with T. Alright, let's do it like this. Okay, and then I want to return the taster. I want to T count. Do we want to count the what? Yeah, we do, don't we? Actually, no, I want to count the varieties actually. Oh no, count the wine. Let's count the wine. Count wine as total and collect v.name. And I want the distinct v.names as well, because they're going to be reviewing. There could be many wines that have got the same variety, so I don't want to do that. So let's just do this. Put name as varieties, and then let's return the taster. We're going to return the total, because actually there might be really interesting here. We may end up with like tasters who've tasted loads and loads of wines, but from such a tiny variety. And the interesting stuff may well be like the tasters who reviews we want to read will be the ones who have got like a much better wine tasting to wine variety ratio. So you want the ones who've tried lots of different varieties of grape, because that might be interesting. So let's have a look at that. So let's do, we're going to retain the taster, let's do the varieties. Let's do and the total, and we're going to order it by total. Let's just put some new lines so it looks a bit nicer. All right, let's have a look. I'm intrigued by this. I am very intrigued by this. Let's see what comes back. Oh my goodness. Okay, what's going on here? Did we say that Roger tasted that many? I don't think that looks right. Oh no, he did. Oh my goodness. That is one prolific wine drinker. Okay, so I hate to imagine how many years it would take to taste that many wines. My goodness. Yes, wow. So look at this. A huge number of varieties of wine going on here. Same idea as well. So starting to get the view of this. So I mean, I'm not going to do it now, but maybe we can try and figure out how we might sort this list. So it's a little bit of a fiddly thing to do, but okay, this is interesting. So what I think will be really great as well is, so we covered the fact that there was a fair bit of duplicate data in the varieties by the fact that the spelling's slightly different, or they're using different names for grapes. So like for example, Syrah and Shiraz is a great example. So I think a nice fun exercise will be, what can we do? So it's for ones where there's a name or a slight spelling, you know, those ones we should be able to quite quickly figure out and join those together. But the other thing as well to have a look at will be, can we use an external data source to help clean these up? And just as an example, we get things here like red blend, and I suspect there's a few of those which talk about sort of like a red blend or what have you. So I think what would be good is if we could do something to neaten those up. So I think one last thing, because this is actually quite fun for me. I'm hoping you guys find this interesting and you're feeling inspired to go away and experiment with the data set. But I think something that's really interesting as well is, let's have a look at red. How often does the word red appear in the variety name? So I'm just going to grab this query so that we can say we looked at it. But let's have a quick peek. How often does the word red appear? Now this is probably not the, well, we'll have a look. So I'm going to use, I'm going to basically say anything with the word red in there. So we might catch some things that have got red inside there, but that's fine. We can tweak it later. So let's do the variety where v.name contains red. And I'm going to lower this so that we catch everything. So where to lower v.name contains red, return v.name, order by v.name. So let's see what happens with this. So let's see what comes back. Oh, this is very exciting. I bet there's going to be a lot of red. Oh, okay. No, not too bad. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. So we've got what we've got there, sort of six threads there, and I think what will be really fun at some point where we can look at, and this is so many ideas we can do, but you'll notice some of the varieties don't mention what colour wine they are, and I think certain blends will always be a red or a white, so there's going to be a fun bit of work around trying to figure out how we can do that. How can we try and calculate those? But this is all good. Okay, so let's do the same thing with whites. How many whites do we have? I better be green. I'm gonna have a quick look at green wine as well. So in Madeira they do like a young wine, this green wine. I'm intrigued to see what comes up. Oh wow, look at that. So we have lots of whites in there. So things like I mean, we try and figure out what we do, like sort of white blend. What do we do with white blend? You know, it doesn't lend itself to anything, but that's fine. That's for another day. So last but not least, I'm just gonna have a quick cheeky look at rosé and green as well. Let's do green. Do we have any green wine? I'll be excited if we do. I think they call it something specific. Yeah, so I need to look up what do they call it. I think they call it Verde wine. That would be green, so that would make sense. Aha. Okay, not quite. We can have a look at that later, but let's have a quick look at rosé, and then I think we will call it a day. It's been a good session. I'm looking forward to doing this next Saturday. Well, undoubtedly we have a lot more questions. Oh, look at that. No rosés have come up, just the invite word, so that's interesting. Okay, that's cool. So what have we covered today? So we have covered, we looked at the original import stuff that we did from last week, and I've talked you through what we're doing and the fact that we're handling nulls and decisions we made about what we were going to do with those. We had a look at some of the questions that we could ask from that. So that cut down data set, we still could ask a lot of interesting questions, and we made some very interesting discoveries. The fact that only 2,300 wineries had more than one province that they were associated to, which was very interesting. I was expecting there to be loads, but actually a lot of them not. So that's interesting. So maybe there's something telling to come out of the region data when we finally decide how we're going to handle that. We had an interesting thing to look at, the fact we've got a large number of wines that haven't been reviewed, so we've got an interesting thing around looking about what can we do that. Sorry, jumping around the place. So we had a look at what interesting questions we could ask from that cut down data set. We then went away, looked at our data model, and thought about what more we can add. So we've added some additional data. So we added the wine title, we added the variety, we added the reviewer, and so forth. So we added that data in there. We also then started to have a look at some simple questions, so things around having a look at which reviewers are most active. We had a look at the different wine varieties and so forth. So it's a very rich data set, and I guess we're still going to be doing a bit more of that data exploration. So as we're going through the data, it's helping us to figure out more things we need to investigate, so more things around, for example, data cleaning, dealing with duplicate data as we've seen with the varieties. We still need to think about what we're going to do with regards to the wine title and getting the year out and that kind of thing. So plenty more to come on with, but we've covered a lot of very interesting ground here today. So what I will say is do go away, have a play with it yourself. You've got the repo, so give me a few days and I will do a write-up of what we've covered today. Up in the repo, you'll have all of the cipher scripts to run, you'll have the data sets, I'll figure out what's going on in GitHub there. So you've got loads of things there to just go through and click. If you have any questions, so again, I mean, I'll hang around for a couple of minutes in the chat today if you want to ask anything, but otherwise do tweet me if you've got any questions, something comes up, you're watching the recording and you've got a question, ping me on Twitter, I'll come and answer and do the best I can help, or you can post on the GitHub as well if you've got a query. Something else I'd flag as well, I will be doing these on Saturdays. I think this is great because hopefully this is more accessible to more of you. This is probably hopefully works better with the time zone. So I've been doing these for a few Saturdays, and it also means we've got like more sort of freedom to go away and explore things without being a mad rush. What I will say as well is I just want to make you aware that. I also do Mondays as well, so I do Mondays around 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, so 12 o'clock UTC, 1 o'clock British Summer Time. And those slots are very much about, do you have any questions? Do you want me to try something out? So the kinds of things that we've been doing on those sessions, we've been doing creating browser guides, Bloom perspectives, I was playing with GraphQL, so there's a range of things. So if there's something you want me to have a look at, you've got questions, let me know. This Monday I'm going to be looking at entity resolution, so I've been playing with the food dataset, which is quite relevant given that we're going to be looking at deduping some data in this wine set, so there's really a lot of common things like that, but that's what I'm doing. So if there's anything in particular you want me to cover on those Monday slots, let me know. Again, just ping me on Twitter and I will look into it. But apart from that, I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I find this really fascinating, and it's really great to work with a real data set, and it's brilliant when it throws up more questions that you're expecting. I'm hoping you found that helpful, and I look forward to you joining me next week when we do it again. Take care, have a marvellous day. Bye.